Hello everyone and welcome to another supplementary video. My name is Kasanis. Guys, in this video we're going to be taking a look at something called the switch statement. Alright, let's get started. Okay guys, in the last video we took a look at the if statement and the ability to check conditions and then operate some code or evaluate some code based on a particular condition. In this video, we're going to be looking at something called the switch statement. And the switch statement allows us to do a comparison between something and something else. And then when that something evaluates the same as that something else, we go ahead and we evaluate some code. It's going to make more sense when we look at it. All right, to start off with, guys, I have created this thing called the switch example. It is just simple a game object. The game object itself has a simple script on it. If I open up that script, it's right here. It is called the switch script. And right now, all it has in it is a integer where I've declared an integer at the top, and we're going to use this as our kind of switch value. So I've set an integer value equal to 8. Okay, and you know what I think we're going to do this time, guys? We're going to start right away by creating a function. Let's assume that we're going to have to use this multiple times. So we're going to start right away by looking at a function. And in fact, we'll take a look at a couple things in this function. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to declare a brand new function. And this time, instead of having it have a void return value, I'm going to have it have an int return value. There's no real reason for me to do this. I'm just doing it as demonstration so that you guys can see exactly how this works. So in this particular case, I'm going to have this function return an integer value. It is an int, so it's a private function. It's going to return an int. And why don't we call this function the, I don't know, switch case checker. I gotta do better at this. I'm sorry. Switch case checker, and it's gonna take in an integer value. Let's call it an int. So we're gonna have one thing come in. We'll just call it int x. All right, and I'll just call little x, like that. Okay, and we're gonna add in our braces. Okay, so right away we've got an error, and the reason why we have an error is because it's expecting us to return something. All right, and all I'm gonna have it return is our value of x. So whatever comes in is gonna leave. Okay, here's what I want to do. If the value of x doesn't match a particular case, then I'm going to return, I'll return a different value. All right, so if it matches no case, if there's no case matches that occur, I'll return something else. Okay, so I could have actually returned, I'm actually, instead of an int, let's do it this way here. I'm going to return a true or false. That's kind of dumb. I should have given this more thought. I'm going to have it return a bool, and I'm going to declare a bool here right away. I'm going to have a bool that I call was found. All right, and I'm going to have it return was found. All right, this is going to make more sense as we go. And guys, this is a return wasn't like was found. Return was found because I didn't set it equal to anything. Let's set it equal to true for now. All right, there we go. Okay, so guys, this is a case right here, a really good example of why you want to start off by writing down all of your ideas at the top. We talked about this in a really early video. I said make sure you're always putting a thing at the top, a little comment at the top that kind of explains what's going to happen. I'm making this up as I go along, which is really bad as far as design is concerned. It's a really bad example for you guys. I apologize. I should be writing down exactly what I want to happen right up here in a comment, and then as I'm going through, then I can make this make sense for you. So I apologize that I'm not doing that, but don't do what I say. Don't do what I'm doing. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to write this switch case checker, and we're going to have it look for an exact match to a particular integer value. And if it finds an exact match, it will return true. Otherwise, it's going to return false, and that's what I want to happen. Okay, so I should have wrote that at the top, but I didn't. Okay, let's take a look at how we design a switch statement. So basically, a switch statement works in a very particular way. The switch statement itself will go through and it'll go through and look for it'll compare a particular variable and look for a particular case where that variable matches something else. When it finds a match, it will break out of the code. It will then break out of the switch statement and continue on with whatever code comes afterwards. So kind of like where we talked about the if statement previously, where the if statement will evaluate within the nested ifs, it'll evaluate the first one to be true and then it'll break out. The same thing is going to happen with a switch statement, but in this particular case, it's going to try and successfully compare one value to another, one variable to another. That's how a switch statement works. All right, let's take a look at how you go about creating a switch statement. So I'm going to start right here, and I'm going to use the keyword switch, and you see how it turns, in my case, purple, and I'm going to switch something. In this particular case, I'm going to switch the value of x. Okay, and I'm going to hit return, and I'm going to add in here braces. Okay. So once I've done this, right away you can see that it's trying to prompt me and say, okay, you're trying to compare the value of x to something. You have to design the case statements that you want to compare. So let's say we were looking for a particular integer. I have set my integer value at the top to 8. So I'm going to make sure that's one of my cases. But let's say I'm going to look for the case of 0, like it's suggesting here. And this is how you do it. Case 0 colon, so the value I want to check against, colon. And afterwards, I'm going to have it do something. And I'm going to have it say, I'm going to have it print I'm going to have it print the value of x was 0, or the value. I'll have print that the value of x was 0. Okay, so quotations, the value of x was 0. Okay, because it has to be an exact match. I'm going to add a semicolon here. Now it's giving me an error. It's saying, hey, something's going wrong here. It doesn't work out the way we want it to. The reason why it doesn't work out the way we want it to is because we're looking for this break statement. Once we are inside of a case and we have an exact match, we are going to do something. And once we've done that thing, we have to do what's called a break statement. That break statement says stop evaluating. In some code, in some languages, you do not require this break statement, and it'll allow it to go through and evaluate additional statements within a switch statement. But in C#, we have to have a break statement associated with every single case. So with C#, sorry, I just hit my microphone. With C#, because I'm flailing my hands around. No one can see me, but I'm actually flailing my hands around at the same time that I'm talking. With C#, we stop executing once the appropriate case has been identified. So I'm going to say case 0, print the value of x was 0, and let's just copy this. So I'm going to copy all of this, copy, and we can copy it a few times. The case, and let's say case 8. All right, so this one here evaluates the case of 8. Okay, and so on. Okay, we could have any number of these we want, any number of these case statements that we want. I don't know why I just copied it again, but I did. Let's print this and let's do a case for 41. That's the other things my kids say, 41. All right, so the value was 41. Now, in this particular case, we go break, 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 and if none of these things are true, none of these things evaluate to be true, so it's never 0, it's never 8, it's never 41. We can set up a catch-all. So the catch-all is default. So right here, default. And I don't know why I put it here. Let's move this back so it's appropriately aligned. Default. And we're going to have our colon, like, oops, not there at the end. Colon. All right. And again, we're going to have it do something and then have a break statement. So we're going to have it print quotations, the x value was not found. Okay, and we'll end with this, and we'll add in our break. Okay, now if we set this up, it's always going to return true, but here's what we're going to do. If we don't ever find the x value, we're going to return false. So we're going to say was found equals false. Okay, so if we come in here and it's not 0, it's not 8, it's not 41, it'll land in this default, it'll print out was not found, it'll say false, and it'll return a value of false to our calling statement at the above. Okay, so again, let's go through this really quickly. The integer value is going to be passed in as a parameter into this particular function. It comes into the switch statement. It then evaluates each case until it finds a case that matches. So x is either equal to 0, it'll print this, and then it'll break out. It'll go down to this code and it'll simply return either case 8, case 41. All cases simply break out and return a value of true. Or if it's not 0, it's not 8, it's not 41, it's a default value. This is the catch-all, finds everything. It comes in here, says the value is not found. It changes our value to false, and then it will return the value of false. Okay, so right now we've got this set up. I'm just going to file save this real quick. This is not actually going to do anything yet. I've set up my little function here, but I've never called it. So now I'm going to go up to the start and I'm going to actually add in the call to that particular function. Remember, it has to return a bool, so it's going to return a value of true or false. So I'm going to say print. It's going to return a value of true or false. So I'm just going to have it print the value that's returned. Okay. So I'm going to make a call to our switch case checker. I'm going to have it make a call to that. I'm going to pass in the value of our switch checker. All right. And then I'm going to have my my semicolon. All right. So in this particular case, a value of 8, it is going to evaluate down here. It's going to say the value of 8, the value of x was equal to 8. So that's what it should say the first time. Let's copy this so we can explore it's going to print that, and then it's going to print true. Let's explore this a little bit more. Let's have it print again, but instead this time we're going to change the value of our switch checker, and we're going to set up to a value that wasn't there. So we're going to set up to a value of, did I put 10? Did I put a 10 down here? No, 8, 41. So a value of 10. We've switched the integer value to 10, and this time it's going to say it was not found, and it's going to have a value of false. So let's file, save this, and let's give it a run. All right, let's get our console out. Let's clear this, and let's hit play. Okay, so what we're seeing here, the value of x was 8, exactly like we expected, and then it printed true. Then the second time it ran, the value of x, the x value was not found, and it printed a false. All right, guys, that is how the switch statement works. You can add in as many cases as you desire. Each one has to have a break in it. The break is a kind of like this jump statement that will occur. There's a couple of them. We've added 2 jump statements in here, actually. We've added in a break right here. So we're breaking out of the code and we're returning to outside of this case. We're going on from there. This return is also a jump statement, allowing us to jump out of the code. I could add in another thing in here if I really wanted to. I could add multiple branches within here. So let's say I wanted to, I always have to return a value here, but I could have some additional code in here and have like a different branch. So I could have a if, let's say x equals 10. Let's just do this so we can kind of explore it. Oops, I did not mean to hit tab there. Let's just do this so we can kind of explore it. Let's hit in our thing here. So if x equals 10, so right now we've got our switch statement in here. It's going to break out, and then it will evaluate this if statement. So it wasn't going to be found. It's still going to print this. It's going to break out of here, right, with our second thing. All right. It's actually going to do only once. If x is equal to 10, I want to print quotations found an x value of 10. Okay, awesome. So it's going to come in here. It's going to print something. And I can use this right here at this point, and I can use the return true here as well, or return whatever I want here. Okay, so I have 2 conditions now, 2 branching opportunities for me to break out of this function. Once I've broken out here, I break out, I can return from this if statement if it actually finds a value of 10, and I can, and I will not hit this return value. It'll actually return to the calling function right here and print a value of true. If this evaluates to false, it'll come down here and it'll return the value that's associated with it. So in our case here, because we are using a switch of 8 and a switch of 10. In both cases, it's going to evaluate something true in here, and it's going to send a true statement back. And this one here is going to evaluate the if statement when it's 10, and it's going to send the true statement back. We're not going to see this time, even though it evaluates here, found was equal to false. Even though this is true here, it's not going to actually return anything here because we don't have that return statement. All right, so hopefully that makes sense. Okay, let's save this and let's give it a run so we can see it. I didn't stop it, so let's give this a stop first. Let's clear this and let's run it. Okay, what are we seeing here? The value of x was 8. That's the first time it ran, and it returned a value of true, just like we expected. In the second time we ran it, it evaluated the switch statement. It said the x value was not found. That's within the switch statement. It was not found in the switch statement. However, it did evaluate our if statement, and it found a value of x, and then once again, it returned true. Okay, let's stop this. So we can see that the opportunity to jump out of this was offered twice, a branching path here and a branching path here, so 2 returns. We also had these additional jump statements in the break. All right, guys, that is how a switch statement works, as well as the return statements. But that is how the switch statement works. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. I hope you found that useful. All right, there are particular reasons why you might want to use an if statement over a switch statement, or a switch statement over an if statement. If you have very particular things you're looking for, you can do a direct comparison with this type of switch statement. All right, guys, that brings us to the end of this particular video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was informational. Again, this is videos for my students. I hope that they are getting something out of it as well. All right, guys, thumbs up, thumbs down, comments down below, and if you haven't done so, please take a few seconds to subscribe. Have yourselves a wonderful day, everyone.